Right, good afternoon, everybody, or good day, everybody. Right, so this afternoon we are going to tackle chapter 2, which is on the teaching competences. Now, the teaching professional or profession is a dynamic field that requires teachers to excel in different domains. So, as professional, teachers should demonstrate competence and knowledge in the different discipline that influence education as a field of study. No? So, in this chapter, now we are going to identify the domains where teachers should be competent in doing their jobs. So we are going to analyze various activities done by the teacher in school, and we are going to reflect on the importance of developing teachers' competence in different domains. Right? So how can you be an effective teacher? So this afternoon we are going to discuss the different domains of teaching competence. Right. First, we have the National Competency Based Teacher Standard, or we call it the NBTCS. Right. Now, the content of the National Competency Based Teacher Standard, or the NCBTS, being a national program of the DepEd, CHED, and Teacher Education Council, identified necessary competences that all teachers should possess, and these competences are considered in developing curriculum standards for pre-service and in-service teacher education in the country. Okay, so that is the first domain of the teaching competence. So we have here the CHED, Tech, DepEd, National Competency-Based Teachers Standard. Right? Now we have here the different domains. We have the social regard for learning, which act as a positive role model for students. Number two, we have the learning environment that creates an environment that promotes fairness, make the physical environment safe and conducive to learning, communicates higher learning expectation to each learner, and establish and maintain consistent standard of learners' behavior. All right, number three, we have the diversity of learners. No? Is familiar with learners' background, knowledge, and experiences. Demonstrate concern for holistic development of learners. So that is diversity of learners. Okay, number four, we have the curriculum. Right, wherein this demonstrate mastery of the subject matter. Because when you say curriculum, that refers to the different subjects, no? Right? Communicate clear learning goals that are appropriate for learners. Makes good use of allotted instructional time. Select teaching methods, learning activities, and instructional materials or resources appropriate to learners and aligned to the objectives of the lesson. Okay, number five, planning, assessing, and reporting. So you have to communicate promptly and clearly to the learners' parents and superiors about the progress of the learners. Develop and use a variety of appropriate assessment strategy to monitor and evaluate learning, and regularly monitor and provide feedback on learners' understanding of content. Number six, community linkages. So we have to establish learning environment that respond to the aspiration of the community. So not only in school, no, but also in the community. And number seven, personal growth and professional development, wherein this takes pride in the nobility of teaching as a profession, builds professional links with colleagues to its teaching practice, and reflects on the extent of the attainment of learning goals. So the next domain is the competences for global teacher. Competence. Ini pagpasaka ka. Competences for global teacher. Now, this research was conducted by Decimeo or Inotech, no, that identify important competences for teachers required by Asian countries. Saka, babaw. Diyan. Okay. So, um, we have here general areas of competences of teachers for the 21st century, which was identified as part of the teaching competency framework. Right, number one, facilitating the development of learners' life and career skills. Number two, creating a conducive learning environment. Number three, facilitating learning. Number four, preparing appropriate lesson plans in line with the school vision and mission. Number five, developing higher order thinking skills. Six, developing and utilizing teaching and learning resources. Seven, enhancing ethical and moral values. Eight, assessing and evaluating learner performance. Nine, engage in professional development. 10, networking with stakeholders, especially with parents. And number 11 is managing students' welfare and trends. No? So these are the result of the research which are identified as the general areas of competences of teachers. No? Right. So let's proceed to the next. The next domain is the educational foundation. Right. Now, teachers should have a solid understanding of educational foundations. Now, these are subjects and disciplines that have important contribution to the understanding of education as a field of study and educational practices. So, these educational foundations are subject and discipline that have important contribution to understanding of education as a field of study and educational processes. Right. So we have here some standards that teachers need to know in the area of educational foundations. Right. Number one, standards that teachers need to know in the area of educational foundation. Right. Then we have demonstrate understanding of the historical foundation of education in the Philippine education. Next, analyze educational philosophies, theories, and researches on education. Right. Understand laws and policies related to education, especially in the Philippine context. Next, identify social, cultural, and economic factors that affect education of learners, no? And integrate ideas and theories to understand the purpose and nature of education as a discipline. Okay. So we have here the different standards that teachers need to know in the area of educational foundation. Okay, demonstrate understanding of the historical foundation of education, especially in Philippine education, including contribution and ideas of individuals and groups from diverse backgrounds. So kinanglan, the teachers need to understand how historical events in the country and in the world help shape the field of education. Okay? Alright, next is analyze educational philosophies, theories, and researches on education. So here, the teacher should learn how to analyze and interpret different educational philosophies. Teachers also need to understand the different educational theories They should be able to apply and interpret these educational researches in teaching. Right. Next is understand law and policies related to education, especially in the Philippine context. So here the teacher should seek to understand the different laws and policies concerning Philippine education. No? Right. Now these laws and policies provide legal framework that will guide teachers and administrators in making decisions about the school, policies, teachers, and students. Then, identify social, cultural, and economic factors that affect education of the learners. No? So here, the teachers need to understand the influence of culture, society, and economy in the development of the field of education. Right. Then we have integrate ideas and theories to understand the purpose and nature of education as a discipline. So here, teachers need to develop understanding and appreciation of the different educational ideas and theories in order to have a better understanding of the field of education. All right. So those are um, the different standards that teachers need to know in the area of educational foundation. Okay. Now let us proceed to another domain. Now we have the learning environment. Okay. Now the learning environment is very important in teaching and learning. Now you will notice that before the school year starts, all teachers are busy preparing their classrooms, putting visuals in classroom walls, and changing bulletin boards display. Because the teacher believed that the physical environment of the classroom could influence their students to learn. Huh? Right. So, so that's why the learning environment is very important so that uh, learning will occur. Right. So we have here the standards that the teachers need to know and practice in order to provide a positive learning environment for students in any level. So ano ang mga standards, ang mga practice? No? Right, number one, understand various types of learning environment that accommodate various needs and promote development of different types of learners. So the teacher should understand different educational environments that influence the learner's development. Okay. Now, when you say educational environment, that refers to the physiological and psychological environment provided by the school. Right. Number two, understand the role of various agencies, families, and communities in supporting the development of the learners. Here, teachers should work closely with different stakeholders. No? They should develop good relationship and partnership with parents, community leaders, and with several public and private institutions surrounding their school. So they should also develop programs and projects that promote quality education and positive development of learners where they can work with individuals and institutions. Okay, next. Standard. Design learning opportunities that nurture learners' talents, critical thinking, and creativity. So the teacher here should do their best to design learning environment that nurtures in the individual talents, critical thinking, and creativity. No? This means that the teacher must provide an effective and efficient student support programs, instructional support programs that nurture the potential of the students to learn. Okay, next, create safe learning environment for all learners. So here, teachers need to create a safe physical and psychological learning environment for their learners. No? Right? We have the brain-based principle that tells us that learners learn best when they feel safe and secure. So meaning that a student will learn best if they are safe, if they feel that they are safe and secure, because they will have their peace of mind. Next, create learning environment that promote intercultural exchange among learners. So here, teachers should teach their students to value individual differences and cultural diversity. They need to expose their students to different activities and programs that promote interaction among students. And the last, commit to promote a learning environment that promotes respect, equality, and climate of high expectation. So here, teachers should ensure that their classes, activities, programs, and roles promote respect, equity, and a climate of high expectation. So students here should be taught to respect the rights of other people, and they should learn how to value the dignity of every human being, and they should commit themselves in the pursuit of academic excellence. No, so those are the standards that teachers need to know and practice in order to produce a positive learning environment for the students in any level. Okay, next we have the another domain, diversity of learners. No? Now here, teachers need to integrate various educational ideas, perspective, and theories in the planning instruction for all types of students. Right. So we have here things that all teachers need to know and practice in order to understand students in any level. Because if you are facing 50 students in your class, meaning you are facing 50 individuals of different characteristics. Right. So we have here number one, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor development of the learners. Psychology provides us with studies, theories, and principles about the development and nature of every learner. So each teacher should know these developmental tasks and characteristics in order to understand each individual learner's need, motivation, and intents. Okay, another one, influence of diversity factors on education. Here, schools are responding to culturally diverse individuals. Students are becoming diverse in terms of language, culture, socioeconomic condition, learner style, talents, family, backgrounds, religion, and abilities. So they have different interests and issues too. No? So therefore, the teachers need to understand that all these diversity factors in order to teach effectively to students. So it is also important for teachers to instill a global perspective among students, exposing them to the histories, languages, religious traditions, and culture of countries and other places. Okay, the next, learning styles and thinking preferences of learning. So that is another thing that teachers must need to know in order to understand the students. Right. Now, there is what you call the theory of multiple intelligence by Howard Gardner, no? Which remain to be one of the most influential and famous theories that discuss the idea that every learners having different learning styles and thinking preferences. According to Gardner, each individual possesses one or more intelligence, no? Like verbal or linguistic, musical, bodily, kinesthetic, naturalistic, logical, mathematical, and intrapersonal, visual and spatial, and essentialist intelligence. No? So these are the different learning styles, no, of students. Okay. So next, curriculum and instruction. Another domain is curriculum and instruction. Now, what is curriculum? Now, curriculum is defined as the content, standards, competences, and topics that students learn. Now, this includes the school philosophy, mission, vision, and goals, the subject and learning experiences, and the assessment and evaluation tools. Ins- while instruction is defined as the means for implementing the curriculum, which includes instructional strategies, methods, approaches, and techniques. No? Right. Now, teachers need to know the curriculum and how to implement it. They're considered curriculum leaders who are engaged in planning, designing, developing, implementing, and evaluating curriculum. So the role of teachers in curriculum and instruction is very important that the sources of any curriculum or the effectiveness of any instruction can be attributed to the quality of teacher who will implement it. Okay, all right. Now, what are the standards that teachers need to know and do in order to fulfill the rules as curriculum and instructional leaders in their own school? Right. Number one. So, what uh, you should know in order to fulfill the rules as curriculum and instructional leaders, because teachers are considered as curriculum and instructional leaders in school, right? Number one, knowledge of the various curriculum models and programs that are developmentally appropriate for the learners. So meaning that the teacher here need to know different curriculum models and programs that are relevant and responsive to the needs, development tasks, and interests of their learners. They need to know how to plan and implement these curriculum models and programs and adapt them to their school content. Teachers also need to understand the design of the current K to 12 curriculum to implement it effectively. Some of examples of this are standard-based curriculum, framework, spiral curriculum design, curriculum integration, and multicultural curriculum. Okay, another one. Knowledge of the different learning areas and subjects. No? Right. Now, as implementers of curriculum, teachers need to develop high level of content knowledge of the subjects and learning areas that are assigned to teach. So they need to demonstrate a high level of mastery of the content of the subjects they teach. So meaning, if you are a teacher, so you have mastered the content of the subjects that you are teaching. They need to commit themselves to continuous professional development to update the level of their content knowledge. Like for example, if you are a science teacher, to be effective, you should know the content and the processes of the science subject. No? Now, if you are a kindergarten teachers, you should understand the content of each learning area prescribed in the official curriculum. Teachers should not stop reading and learning. Okay. Right. Next is your pedagogical knowledge. Pedagogical knowledge. Right. When you say pedagogy, right, it is defined as the science and art of teaching young learners. That is what you mean by pedagogy. It includes large repertoire of teaching methods, instructional strategies, teaching approaches, and teaching techniques. So teachers are instructional leaders. So they plan for the implementation of the curriculum. So that's why it is important that they know how to teach different subjects. Right. Next is right. Next, utilization of technology for teaching and learning. Technology is shaping many things in the society, even people's values. So in the field of education, technology is making all information accessible for the teachers and the learners. No? It is important tool for teaching and learning. It is also important that teachers should be technologically literate and can integrate technology in their teaching and learning. So you must be technologically literate. You know how to use technology in order to uh, promote learning. Right, next, development of instructional materials. So here, all teachers, especially those who are in the local community, should be creative and be problem solvers. They should know how to improve or develop local materials for instruction since many schools do not have enough facilities and instructional materials. So kinanglan you must be creative, no? Now, you can make your own materials since, especially if you are teaching in the barrio, no? Some schools there do not have enough facilities and instructional materials. So kinanglan aram ikaw mag-create, no? Okay. Then next, effective classroom management. So here, the teacher should know how to manage their classroom, meaning that they should be able to understand the learner's behavior and how to manage it. Kinanglan maintindihan kang maestra ang behavior kang estudyante kag kung paano na yan ma-manage, no? So, classroom management is now one of the major concerns of public and private school teachers. So, it is important for the teacher to plan how to handle learners' behavior and characteristics. Classroom rules should be established and a system for rewarding positive behavior should be developed and implemented. Right? So, since teachers are not supposed to use corporal punishment in disciplining learners, an efficient way of handling learners' unwanted behavior inside the class should be developed. So, hindi rin ba pwede ang ginatawag na corporal punishment? So, that's why, as a teacher, you have to make an efficient way of handling learners which are having unwanted behavior inside the class, no? So kinanglan may mga ways ikaw nga himuon mo para nga matadlang mo ang behavior kang imo nga students, no? All right. So it is also important for teachers to develop a caring attitude in dealing with learners, especially with young children. So ipakita nyo man nga, you care for your students. No? There is a need for teachers to develop positive attitudes in handling young children. Now, especially young children. Ay manan nyo daw, ang mga bata ra, daw mas gagapati, pati na sandara sanang, may kang sanang parents. Okay. So kung mag-on niya hambal ni ma'am, basta hambal ni ma'am na daw hambal kang Ginoo, no? Okay. All right. So those are the standards that the teacher should know and do in order to fulfill the rules as curriculum and instructional leaders in their own school. Okay, next. Measurement, assessment, and evaluation. Right. Now, what is measurement? Is concerned with the statement of performance usually represented in quantitative term which includes data obtained about student performance. Right. Now, it includes descriptive data obtained about students' performance, no? While assessment involves the interpretation and representation of measurement data. Right. Now, in assessment, you are interpreting and representing those data, those measurement data. While evaluation is the process of making value judgment based on assessment, interpretation of collected data, or it is the systematic process of collecting and analyzing data in order to make decision. So here you are going to collect and analyze data. in order to make decision. Right. So we have here the standards that teachers should know and be able to do in order to measure, assess, and evaluate learners' progress in school. So how will you measure or how will you evaluate whether your students have learned something or they have what you call progress, no? Right. Number one is develop and use different assessment tools that are appropriate to measure learners' progress. Huh? Right. So it is very important that teachers should know how to develop, select, and use assessment tools that can truly measure learners' progress. Examples of these tools are traditional assessment, authentic assessment, or a form of interdisciplinary assessment. So teachers here should be good in constructing good test items, because test items is one of an important tool in order to assess the progress of your students. In case of authentic assessment, they should know how to develop rubrics that will truly measure student outputs. And a good teachers know how to select appropriate assessment tools for his or her students. If you are a teacher, kinanglan, you have to choose an appropriate assessment tools, which is which will evaluate the learning that was acquired by your students. All right, next. Now utilize evaluation results to provide feedback on learners' progress. Okay. So here, reporting learners' progress through individual progress report card or through developmental checklist in the use of kindergarten children is an essential duty of the teacher. No? Right. So, the use of progress report card, that is one way of providing feedback on learners' progress. So, dyan mo kang makita sa may report card ang progress kang estudyante. Saan na nga? Grade. No? Because if the students learn, so meaning, now if you will be giving them test, no, which is a form of assessment tools, so they will be getting a good result. Okay, appropriate assessment tools can be designed based on the prescribed curriculum standards and competences. Example of this are traditional assessment, authentic assessment, and form of interdisciplinary assessment. Right. So a good teacher knows how to select appropriate assessment tools for his or her students. Next. Now utilize alternative form of assessment. Okay. All right. Here, alternative assessments are examples of learners' individual output that could be graded using rubrics. No? Ang mga output bala ninyo, no? Right, wherein it is being graded through rubrics. Not all learning can be measured by quizzes and tests. Okay, some competences and standards are best measured by looking at the individual outputs and actual performance of the students. Like for example, ang inyong performance task, no? Right. So these learners' output are compiled in individual learners' portfolio that are collected at the end of each grading period. Diba? When you were in high school, no, you are required to have a portfolio, no, where you are going to place your output. Right. Next, exercise fairness and professionalism in reporting learners' progress. Right. So teachers should show professionalism in reporting learners' progress to their parents. Kinanglan, there is what you call fairness. So when reporting to parents, they should always show their concern for the development of the learners. kung nag-report ikaw sa parents, nabala nga nagapakita ka nga you are concerned with the development of their children. No? They should include positive comments about each learner. So kinanglan positive ang mga comments or constructive, no? And they should identify areas to improve their performance, no? That's why when teachers write comments in the report card of the students, no, ang anda nga comments must be constructive. Okay. Teachers should be very professional in responding the parents' question when it seems they are not satisfied with the grades of their child. No? So kinanglan you must be professional in responding if there are questions, no, which are being asked by the parents. No? All right. Because so that they will be satisfied with the grades of their students para mamanan na kung under nga amura ang grade kang estudyante, no? All right, you know the purpose of the parents there bukat ko nga mareklamo ra sanda gareklamo sanda gahikay sanda ka grade kang anda nga estudyante kundi nga gusto lang nanda mag inquire kung diin kung ano ang kulang sa anda nga estudyante. Kung ano ang wara ma-submit kang estudyante. Da? Right? Kung ano ang wara ma-perform kang estudyante. So those are the what? Those are the standards that the teacher should know and be able to do in order to measure, assess, and evaluate learners' progress in school. Okay. Right? Then we have the next domain is establishing community linkages. So teachers are expected to establish community linkages. That is to promote partnership in ensuring quality education for the learners across different levels. No? Right. Now, in basic education, teachers need to work with NGOs and government organizations to encourage public support to quality education and to promote the welfare of the students. Individuals and organizations may support projects and programs of the school and provide professional services needed by the school, teachers, and students. So since the school is an integral part of the society, so it develops the minds and character of future leaders and citizens of the society. And this contributes significantly to the economic development of the society by developing professionals and functionally literate citizens. No? Okay, so here are some of the standards that the teachers need to know and do to establish community linkages. Number one, all right, culturally responsive behavior that promotes effective communication and collaboration with individuals, families, social agencies, and other members of the community. Here, these teachers establish learning environment that respond to the aspiration of the community. They respond to the needs and concern of individual and families with professionalism and dignity. Okay, next. Collaborate with individuals and groups to support educational programs in the community. So teachers work with different groups and individuals to rally support on various educational programs in different communities. Examples of these programs are feeding programs for young children, scholarship program, literacy program, health and nutrition program, and creating a children's protection desk in different barangay. Right, next. Respect for the culture of the individual and communities. So teachers always deal with different people every day. So these people belong to different families, cultures, religious groups, and socioeconomic status. So teachers patiently work with these people and groups. They are advocates in respecting cultural diversity. So you have to respect the culture of every individual in the community. Right. Next, commitment to the educational goals of the society. So teachers are committed to uphold and implement the educational goals of the society. So they are leaders, implementers, and advocates of educational program in the society. Okay, next, school leadership. Teachers have the potential to exercise dynamic leadership in school, thereby enhancing the possibility of school and social reform. So as leaders, they act with strong principle, values, and philosophy to develop the learners to be dynamic citizens, professionals, and great leaders in the society. They shape the minds and values of future generation of the society. No? All right. So teacher leaders are servant leaders. They contribute and lead in creating visions for safe and just society. So they must support community programs and projects implemented by the local and national government. They should share their expertise and talents in various committees in school and in the community where they belong. Now they create a nurturing culture in their schools through their commitment to develop the skills and talents of the students, promote quality education, equity, and positive school reforms that are hoped to transform the lives of the learners. Okay? Next, let's go to classroom management. So, classroom management and instructions are related, right? Now, classroom management is integrated in the everyday teaching and learning process. So it is a set of classroom rules developed as a system of rewarding positive behavior and giving positive intervention on learners' disruptive behavior. It is also important in developing an efficient and effective system to increase learners' motivation to learn. So that's why classroom management is very important. Right. So to master classroom management, teachers need to know their learners and they should be well informed in psychology to understand learners' development and behavior. Right. Now, classroom management is important, no? As what I said, in developing an efficient and effective system to increase learners' motivation to learn. So students need to participate actively in the class activities and discussion. They are expected to diligently do their duties and responsibilities in their classes. No? Right. Now they are more interested in their gadgets rather than doing their assignments and projects. No? Right. So that's why you will observe that many students nowadays are unmotivated to learn because they are more interested in their gadgets than in their assignments and project. This means that there is a need to empower and equip the teachers to be good classroom manager. Because if you are the teacher, you are the manager of the classroom, no? Okay. So we have here the standards that teachers should know and do to master classroom management. Number one, establish clear rules and procedure. So teachers here should know how to establish a system that will help them handle learners' behavior, meaning the classroom rules and procedures are clearly established. Students should be made aware of these rules and procedure. So kinanglan may mga rules and procedure kamo dyan sa room ninyo nga i-follow kang students. No? making learners responsible and accountable for their actions and behavior. So it is necessary that learners should be developed to be responsible and accountable for their academic work and classroom behavior. So it is important for students to realize that every act that they do in the classroom should edify the whole class. So, syempre, ang ginahimo ka sa ka-estudyante sa silid ka classroom, maka-apekto sa bilog nga klase. Right? Planning lesson and learning activities effectively. So, classroom management is always interrelated with instruction. Effective teaching requires all students to be engaged in the learning process. Planning effective instruction requires teachers to understand their learners' behavior and interest. Okay, next. Developing intervention skills for dealing different classroom problems. Teachers need to develop techniques and approaches in dealing different classroom problems. So great teachers know how to use rewards and punishment effectively. They also work with parents to understand the environment of the students and they seek help from other professionals to understand learners' issues and problems. No? So those are the things the teacher should know and do to master classroom management. Because uh, classroom management and instructions are related, interrelated. Bisan ano ko kanami ka nga maestra, if you don't know how to manage your class, learning will not take place. Nami ko gid mag-discuss tapos mong estudyante wala man ka pamati. So after the class, you ask your students about what they have learned. So wala gid nothing. No? Right. Next, professional development. Teachers need to commit themselves to continuous professional development to make themselves updated of the different curricular and instructional innovation. Professional development of teachers involved. How will you develop yourselves professionally? Attend to graduate school, to take advanced course and degrees, attending conferences and participating in seminar, workshop, and trainings. So that is the reason why uh, teachers need to attend conferences and seminars, workshop, and training. That is to what? To make themselves updated of the different curricula and instructional innovation. Right. So what are the standards that teachers should know and do in the area of professional development? Okay, one, building professional links with colleagues and other professionals. So teachers need to establish good working relationship with their colleagues and other professionals. This can be done through membership in academic societies and professional organization here in the country or abroad. No? Right, through these academic links that they got to know more and share best practices in education. Okay, next, conduct relevant research. Now, teachers need to conduct basic research or action research to fully understand some educational issues and problems and to test the applicability and strength of a particular curriculum or pedagogical model So here in the Philippines, most teachers do not do research. If they do, it is because it is a requirement for promotion. Most teachers here in the Philippines do not do research. If they do, it is because it is a requirement for promotion. That's why they are doing the research for promotion only. Research is important in the academe. It is through research that we got to know more about certain issues and areas of interest in the academe, and research enable us to validate theories, and also to see the applicability of these educational theories in school context. Okay, next. Commitment to lifelong learning. Teachers need to develop the habit or culture of lifelong learning. We see teachers as foundation of knowledge. Hence, they should serve as models of knowledge, seekers, and knowledge producers. Teachers should never stop learning. Their position in the society requires them to be always knowledgeable in the work and in different areas. No? So that's why if you're a teacher, you must not stop learning. Okay, then attendance in in-service programs and activities for teachers. Now, attending an in-service program for teachers is useful for all teachers. It is through these activities that their pedagogical skills and content knowledge are developed and enhanced. So may mga ano dyan na, di ba? May mga in-service program, parang kang mga inset, no? Right. Then, enrolling in graduate and postgraduate education courses. Teachers should enroll in graduate and postgraduate courses, not for promotion purposes, but to improve their knowledge and skills. Not to what? Not to increase their salary, but in order to improve their knowledge and skills. Now, that is the purpose of enrolling in graduate and postgraduate education courses. Currently, there are several graduate schools in the country that are diploma mills. This means they do not offer quality graduates postgraduate education. Nagatugo lang bala kang diploma, but they do not offer quality graduate and postgraduate education. Teachers should be encouraged to take graduate courses in recognized center of excellence. So their thesis and diploma should determine their expertise and specialization in their fields. No? So that's why if you enroll in your master's or in your doctoral degree, now you have your what is your thesis, no? For the masteral and dissertation for the doctoral. No? Okay. All right. So these are the different domains. So these are the different domains in domains where teachers should be competent in doing their job. Huh? All right. So that ends my lecture. Okay, so if you have time, try to listen, no? Watch this video. Because in your module, that is only a summary. Now, the explanation was given in my lecture. Okay? So, that's all. Happy viewing. Tapos, yan nun, kubi. Kaya, rigatan mo sa may module, ano na sa summary.